learner factors. Like teachers, well, learners are the key participants for an efficient and effective language curriculum design. Okay, so we're going to see now the significance or the importance of learner factors. I mean, what information we need about the learners in order to conduct an efficient situation analysis for effective language curriculum design. So, apart from their linguistic needs, language learners have some other elements which need to be considered. Okay, what are these elements then? The first one is the backgrounds. I mean, the background, what level they are. I mean, what background they carry, where, I mean, whether they are at intermediate level or, I mean, their prior learning experiences, their prior educational experiences or pre-literacy experiences, right? And then we've got their expectations, what expectations they have about language learning, whether, I mean, they are expecting to learn English for specific purposes or academic purposes or general purposes. And then we've got the element of beliefs. I mean, that's the important feature of attached to learner factors. What beliefs they have about language learning, I mean, about the nature of, about the function of language learning, right? And then we've got another element, that's the learning styles. For example, different learners have different learning styles. Some are motivated, some are anxious. So these elements need to be considered thoroughly before conducting a situation analysis for a language curriculum design. Okay. I think in order to describe the significance of language learners or the learner factors, I think Noonan has very precisely described this feature. Let's have a look. I mean, according to Noonan, effectiveness of a language program will be dictated as much by the attitudes and expectations of learners as by the specifications of the official curriculum. So learners have their own agendas in the language classroom. I mean, what this quote indicates is that learners are key participants like teachers, like institution. So, I mean, they have got official document in the form of a language curriculum, but on the other hand, learners have their own agendas, which can be explicit or implicit, and this is the job of the teacher to, understand those agendas. So the effectiveness of a language program primarily rests upon understanding the element of language factors, learner factors, right? And, as we have already discussed, like language teachers have their own dimensions and dynamics, and similarly, learners have their own dimensions. And what are these dimensions? We need to take into account their past learning experiences, their motivation regarding, English language learning, and their views about, sociocultural elements attached to language learning. As I have already given this example, for example, in a, cultural context, in the Pakistani context, for example, the madrasa students might see, some of the students might see language learning, especially English language learning, as a colonial legacy, and they might, develop a sort of resentment or negative attitude towards language learning. So this is key to understand when we are talking about the learner factors for situation analysis, right? And we need to also take into account the preferable approaches. For example, different learners have different strategies towards language learning. So, and what's their relationship towards teachers? So for effective situation analysis, we need to take these different variables into account for efficient language curriculum design. So I think this can be further illustrated with the help of an example. And I've got very good example from Richard's book, Language Curriculum Design. And this example, focuses on intermediate level sort of course. And, the teacher wants to enhance or sharpen the, oral skills of the students. So the teacher primarily, employs modern state-of-the-art methodology, teaching through communicative and putting students into pairs, into groups, and giving them a collaborative sort of environment in the classroom. But the students, on the other hand, want teacher-directed classroom because they are not, tuned to this sort of environment. So what were the limitations? What this example indicate is that we must take into account the learner factors and what's their significance and how well we can address these factors.